So we are back. Peanut Gallery. I have these in order.
Okay, great.
This is definitely going to be a longer one. So I'm starting with one, and I'm just going to go down.
That's fine.
So go ahead.
All right. So it's going to be a little bit of a thought experiment. I was kind of torn between two different topics, and so I consulted with Tyler. Hey, here's what I should do with regards to the topic. I think that an appropriate topic today, and I think this kind of goes to the NWA, but also to the playoffs that are going on amongst various sporting teams, and of course, we have a couple of our own teams there in the dance. We're going to resurrect the NWA in the 1950s, but we're going to base it off of a couple of different factors. So before we get into the 32, so I ultimately chose 32 cities to kind of keep things compact enough for wrestling fans.
Is it compact enough?
No, compact enough for wrestling fans, sporting fans to understand. So I chose 32 cities that would be the home bases for the NWA Territories of today. So that is the name of our topic for Heckling from the Hard Camera. Before we get into the 32 cities I chose, I want to go over some of the criteria I chose for determining where these are. So in the past, NWA had their main bases of operations in certain cities for historical reasons.
Right.
Now, I have based a lot of it off of historical reasons, but we have to contend with the fact that the United States is a little more ethnically and culturally diverse today.
Right.
That some cities that were prominent in the 50s are no longer prominent. That some cities that were not prominent in the 50s are now very much prominent.
Right.
Las Vegas being a great example of that. And I'm going to go through kind of why I chose these cities. I'm going to do some honorable mentions and some possible relocation cities if that's something that you're really interested in.
Right. Hey, my tweet about Trevor Murdoch was liked.
So let's go through.
Cool.
The first city I have chosen, obviously, is St. Louis.
Yep.
Very, very famous pro wrestling city throughout history. Number 2.
Well, what would be the promotion that you would have there?
It would be NWA Midwest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not doing like the actual NWA promotion. Number 2, Chicago. Chicago was a part
How can you not say Chicago? Like, come on.
Chicago is the biggest pro wrestling city in America right now.
Right.
It was a part of AWA's territory. It will probably be the base of a new NWA territory, like NWA Illinois, NWA Chicago.
Right. This was
like that.
Because it was kind of like a weird little glue. Because I believe St. Louis was actually the headquarters of the original National Wrestling Alliance.
It was.
So that's why St. Louis has to be on here.
Right. Number 3, obviously AWA's headquarters, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Number 4, Memphis. I mean, come on.
It's Memphis. It's
right.
Memphis wrestling. I mean, Jerry the King Lawler.
Right.
I mean, you have Ricky Garvin. Come on. Let's just not kid around.
All right, number 5. Okay, New York City, Mecca of fucking wrestling.
You just can't deny it.
There's no denying it. WWF. That was their big thing. That was the biggest
Capital Wrestling Corporation.
Yep, all of that. Number 6, Buffalo, New York. Now I still.
What would be Buffalo though? That's the problem there.
Buffalo was what was the name of that? It was I'd like to think that it's like Erie or something like that because it was also based in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
It was that NWA territory. I still think that it would be a popular city for wrestling today. You got to think about how many times they go through Buffalo per year.
This is true. No, I can get that.
Yeah. Maple Leaf Wrestling.
Oh, come on. You have to have something in Canada. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a couple of them in Canada.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have a handful in Canada. All right. Number 8, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. First, we talked about last week, first ever televised throughout the country wrestling show was based out of Los Angeles.
It was a Los Angeles-based promotion.
It was.
They actually did a lot of the filming in Las Vegas. That's why we actually talked about that in the last wrestling lesson, is that the AWA had a partnership with this promotion, which was NWA What was it called? Championship in Hollywood?
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. They co-promoted the events that were actually taped in Las Vegas at that time, back in the 80s, 70s, 80s. Right.
Number 9, Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. You got to have a Texas-based promotion.
Houston Wrestling. It was a Houston NWA promotion, but today even it's a very popular city.
Yep, and a lot of gateway. This is basically the gateway promotion back at that time for a lot of luchadors.
Yep.
Eddie Guerrero went through Houston before he became super popular in WCW.
Yep.
I think he actually did El Paso too. El Paso is a fairly large city for wrestling too.
It was. Dallas, WCCW. Do I need to say more?
I mean, you can't. You just simply
Dallas
can't.
Dallas also one of the largest cities in the United States, so you gotta have a wrestling.
You gotta have something in Dallas. Absolutely.
San Antonio. This is where Lucha Libre got its
footing. San Antonio was like the gateway, but then they went either to Houston or they went to Dallas. Dallas was
Texas
more
in general, a very popular wrestling state to be in.
And you see, Texas was weird because when you went to Houston, you had more of the luchador style, but when you go to Dallas, you have more of the traditional style because of WCCW. Right.
Number 12, Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, you got to have something in North. Absolutely.
Yep, Vancouver, very popular wrestling city. It was the NWA. It wasn't Cascades. It was
no, it was not Cascades.
Can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't. It was a host for the NWA promotion.
Yep.
Back in the day,
it definitely was.
And it's a great city to put it in. So there we have it. All right, number 13.
I'm pretty sure I'm blocking it. Yep.
You're blocking Tampa.
I'm blocking Tampa. Yay! There it is.
So Tampa. Now there are a lot of cities. Let's put it this way: in Florida, in general, there are a lot of major wrestling promotion cities.
I mean, goddamn, you had Florida Championship Wrestling. There was a stuff in Atlanta.
Today you got WWE's headquarters pretty much in Orlando. You got AEW's headquarters.
And then you have Orlando in general.
Right, you got Orlando in general, but then you also have Jacksonville, which has become obviously for very obvious reasons, a major wrestling city. You got Miami, but we want to go with Tampa first because Tampa's the OG.
Yep, Tampa is the OG.
They were Florida wrestling. And that was NWA's original territory.
Yes, so it was.
We gotta respect that, right?
And the next one is I'm going to assume Atlanta. It's probably right behind me.
You're blocking it again.
I'm not going to move.
Atlanta would be the headquarters for the NWA today.
You think so?
Yep.
Okay.
Because obviously the NWA is legitimately headquartered there.
Right.
And because of course Atlanta is probably the most famous city in the South, other than Memphis, for wrestling.
Absolutely.
Just in general.
Yep.
All right, so we got Charlotte, Mid-Atlantic. Oh, no.
Nope.
Montreal.
Montreal,
another really famous wrestling city. Very popular with Canadians. I gave away number 16. It was Charlotte.
Yes, which I am blocking. Obviously, with Charlotte, you can't go wrong with Ric Flair.
Mid-Atlantic, that was a very well-known wrestling promotion in the South.
And we're going to be talking about Mid-Atlantic for wrestling lesson, too.
Excellent. All right, number 17, Calgary, Hart Dungeon.
Come on. I mean, Stampede Championship Wrestling. Come on.
Stampede Championship Wrestling and the Hart Dungeon. A lot of famous wrestlers are coming out of Calgary.
Yep.
Number 18, Kansas City. Now,
this is Kansas City, Missouri, not Kansas City, Kansas.
It doesn't really matter.
It does matter. No.
You know what?
They are different cities.
The Kansas City metropolitan area. Because it is another very famous wrestling city. A lot of famous wrestlers coming out of that city.
Yep.
Number 19, New Orleans. Tri-State, also a very popular. So it's even popular to this day. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that WrestleMania goes down there every 5 years.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because it's a great tourist city. So
yeah, it's also walking distance from Bourbon Street, for God's sake.
We are going to get a lot of these. So remember, I'm not just basing it off of historical, well-known wrestling cities. I'm also basing it off of popular. So Tri-State was between Tulsa and New Orleans.
Right.
But if I was to choose one
I would
city,
choose New Orleans, 100%.
Tulsa's not as big as it once was.
And also, we're doing this as the current time.
Right.
So you got to think, okay. If I was going to have a wrestling territory, I'd rather have it in New Orleans because then people can do other things.
Right, exactly.
You want it in a touristy place. Now, at that time, I mean, I'm going to assume that Las Vegas is somewhere on here.
Yep, it is later on the list. But
now, once again, at the time that the NWA was really popular, Las Vegas was not the city that it is now.
No, Las Vegas in the 50s had like 30,000 people in it.
Right.
So no one lived there.
Right.
Now a lot of people live there. Anyways, move on to San
Francisco.
Big time wrestling.
Absolutely, 100%.
Those are West Coast ones because there's another big time wrestling, another city that we're going to mention. But San Francisco, again, another big city. A lot of people come.
A lot of history.
Yep, it's a great place. 21 Phoenix, Arizona.
You gotta have something in that desert, man. You gotta have something
Western
there.
States Wrestling Alliance.
Yep.
Very well known. It's still a popular place for wrestling promotions to go.
Obviously, WrestleMania's been there a couple of times, so it's clearly popular.
Right.
And also, it's a big touristy city now. So,
right
there you go.
All right, number 22, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Am I over it?
No, you're not in the
Oh, no, I'm good. Okay.
World Wrestling Association.
Yeah.
Yeah, very famous. In
you have a lot of those Michiganders. You got a lot of the people in Illinois, Wisconsin. You have all those people.
Right.
I mean,
I don't think a very well-known historical wrestling city.
Yeah,
too,
I don't think people realize how popular wrestling is in the Northeast. It's the Midwest.
Yeah, it's incredibly. Yeah, that's where wrestling started, as we discussed last week. It was in the Midwest.
Yep.
All right,
we got Detroit.
Detroit.
You got it.
Time wrestling.
Yep, you got to have Detroit.
Culture, blue collar city.
You have Abdullah the Butcher, the original Sheik. You have
a lot of Middle Easterners there too, so very popular.
The original Sheik.
Yep.
That's why he was so popular there. Abdullah the Butcher, same thing. They want to relax. They have a beer and they, go to wrestling, I guess.
Right. All right, number 24, Baltimore, Maryland.
Other way.
Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't historically a big wrestling city, but with Ring of Honor being based out there, it's got to be.
You got to have something there, right?
25, Philadelphia. Need I say more?
I mean, ECW. I think CZW is out from Philadelphia as well. So. A little bit different style of wrestling than what we're used to.
26, Boston.
You gotta have Boston.
Immigrant populations, very popular wrestling city.
A large city, a touristy city, a historical city.
How many times does WWE go there? A lot.
One of their most popular stars ever is from there. All
right, number 27, we're going to Las Vegas.
You gotta have it. I mean, Vegas is such a different city now.
It wasn't, but it's the entertainment capital of the world.
It wasn't back then.
It was not, no, but it could take all of Nevada, all of Utah.
Yep.
I mean, you've got that huge market, and then you got all the people coming from around the world.
International destination now.
Absolutely.
Yep.
28 is Columbus, Ohio. Now, Columbus, Ohio.
Are you saying Columbus?
I feel like Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Now, here's the thing about Columbus. Historically, there were two major wrestling promotions. Two major.
Get my head out of the way. Thank you.
NWA promotions that were based out of there. There was the Buffalo Cleveland promotion.
Yep.
That was based out of there.
It was kind of their runoff.
And then it was the Georgia Championship Wrestling actually had a big base in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
So the reason I chose Columbus is because, of course, as you know, and everyone probably knows if they study a little bit of history, that Cincinnati and Cleveland are kind of on decline as far as cities go. But Columbus is not. And Columbus is becoming a very popular city for wrestling promotions to go into today. So I chose Columbus as a compromise, but also because this is a sign of the times. Columbus, is the popular city.
Right.
29 is Denver. This was one of AWA's bases. It wasn't their main base.
No, it was not.
But
that was St. Louis.
But you have a large reach if you have a wrestling promotion based out of Denver.
Yep, they always go there at least once a year.
They do. It's not a popular wrestling city, but you're going to get a lot of fans from the other states because it is the largest city.
There's a huge migration from California to Denver right now. Actually, that's kind of why. I mean, that's actually one of the bigger reasons why we left is because it was almost priced the fuck out.
Right. But anyway, a lot of great wrestlers are coming out of Denver nowadays. Too,
yep.
So
we have a couple of really good wrestling schools out there. like people like Abaddon came from Rocky Mountain Wrestling.
Yep,
So there you go.
Wrestling. All right, next one, Portland, Oregon. Now this is also a historical wrestling city.
It is. It absolutely is.
So
you always have to have something in there.
It was between that and Seattle, and I had to go with Portland.
I probably would have said Seattle personally, but
again, we could probably talk about that in the future. But Portland, as a historically good city, it's also very much up and coming area of the country, so you got to put one
unfortunately.
In the Northwest. So you got to go with that. All right, so I was debating. So I had to either go with 30 or 32. I decided to go with 32 because there were so many good cities that were being left off. So city number 31, Jacksonville, Florida.
Of course, I'm in the way.
But I don't think it really interferes a lot with Tampa.
I don't think so. I think you have different wrestling audiences to where it's not a big deal.
And of course the reason it's not a historical wrestling city, but AEW is the elephant in the room that we all got to mention.
Right.
And 32, Pittsburgh. Another up and
coming. City. And also one of the most famous wrestlers ever, Kurt Angle's from Pittsburgh.
Right. So you got to go with that. Now I'm going to talk about cities I left off. So Amarillo, Texas, is a very historically.
It was a historical city at that time. It's really not now.
It's not anymore, and it's a very small population, so I just don't include it. Same thing with Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City or Tulsa. Again, we talked about with the tri-state. It just isn't like it used to be.
Right.
And population-wise, there are a lot of more deserving cities population-wise. Miami and Orlando, we kind of mentioned that with the Florida stuff.
We already have two cities in Florida that have it. Like, you're not going to have any more.
Right. And so, if you were to relocate anything, you might relocate one Florida city to another one, but it's like it's really hard. You got to choose.
You really do. And I think you chose correctly too.
Yeah. Seattle, it was between Portland and Seattle. You could see Portland moving to Seattle if that was the case.
Yeah. It's this one. It was kind of weird for me because I would have personally chosen Seattle. I just think you had more of an international reach than Portland. But that's just me.
I left off Nashville too.
That one was a weird one too. I guess between the two, I would have chosen Memphis as well.
Right. And so it's between Memphis or Nashville. I mean, you relocate Memphis to Nashville, but
it has to be Memphis. Memphis is more of a wrestling city,
and of course Nashville being the home of Impact Wrestling.
Right.
If you want to move a team or a promotion into Nashville, you'd probably move from Memphis.
Yeah,
that's just the way that it is.
I'm surprised you didn't choose anything from Alabama.
Oh, Alabama was another one. It's just not like it used to be.
Right.
You got Georgia right there. You got heavy hitters in Florida.
I'm actually surprised you didn't choose Salt Lake City either.
No, Salt Lake City is not a major wrestling.
Well, I guess I'm not.
No, it is not. It's between Denver and Las Vegas.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, I need to remember what's around it.
Cleveland and Cincinnati.
We already talked about.
So there's a compromise. Halifax, Nova Scotia didn't choose either.
So why didn't you choose actually one that I was actually kind of curious about? Why didn't you choose Green Bay?
Just because I was running out of cities.
Okay.
Green Bay also isn't historically known as a huge wrestling city. It was part of AWA's territory.
It was.
So, we're kind of choosing. We chose Chicago, which is historically not a big wrestling city, but has become a huge wrestling city.
Well, it was a huge sports venue.
It was.
I mean, goddamn. Actually, I'm gonna super seriously disagree with you that Chicago was never a big wrestling city. It's always been a big wrestling city. One of the most famous matches of the original Golden Era, George Hackenschmidt, Frank Gotch was fucking done in.
Right. So you got
was fucking done in Chicago.
We don't want to oversaturate the Midwest market here.
It's just a culture.
Other cities can choose San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Well, you didn't really go down to Mexico or anything like
Latin
that.
America I didn't really touch. Mexico City would have been another one.
No, that's not because of ignorance. That's just because we're not 100%. I mean, we probably would have chosen Mexico City if we were going to choose anything.
But
and obviously, it's really popular. But we really wanted to do like these cities where it'd be a little more of an established thing. Yeah. And with Mexico, they kind of do their own thing.
Right.
They're not as involved with America or Canada as vice versa.
Now, I didn't choose I would have put a second territory in New York City in a different arena, but I know that Long Island, Brooklyn specifically, has become a major wrestling city
Yep.
on its own. And again, I think the main reason is I just don't want to concentrate too much of it into one city. If I were going to do something like that, I would have relocated the Buffalo one to become New York City's second wrestling territory. But again, it's just to kind of spread things out and make it a little more even than it was. Also, yeah, and like I said, San Juan, Mexico City, those are pretty much the big ones I kind of left off. Winnipeg is, I know there are a lot of very famous wrestlers that come out of Winnipeg,
Yep.
but Winnipeg itself was part of AWA's territory, so it wasn't really a popular wrestling city.
Right.
Not like the likes of Minneapolis.
And not Quebec. I'm surprised you didn't put Quebec in there.
Quebec City?
Yeah.
I have Montreal. But Quebec City, again, you're in Montreal's territory there.
Yeah,
You're
I
kind
guess.
of between Montreal and what would have been the Atlantic Canada. So
That one must have been a little bit of a harder
yeah.
one. I mean,
again, a lot of these are really hard, but I think population plays a role in this too.
Right, that's true.
So we got to put it in cities.
In Montreal at this point is a little more of a touristy city,
It
and
is.
you want the most touristy things to hold that accommodation.
Right. It's like you take away from Las Vegas, you take away from Columbus, you take away from Pittsburgh,
Right.
you take away from Buffalo, you take away from a lot of these cities in order to put them in some of those smaller areas. But it's like, wrestling doesn't go there anymore for a reason.
Right.
The WWE is not going to Quebec City every year like they're going to Montreal.
This is
every
true.
year.
Right.
So you
Definitely
got to
different.
think about where the touring is happening
Right.
too. But anyways, that's what I have. Let me know what your thoughts are and if you would move any of them or relocate them or add any new cities. Let me know. And that's kind of what I have.
Absolutely. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about the NWA World Tag Team Champions, a history that is extremely complicated and not what you think. So stay tuned for that.